Do you know why wars happen? Then, who do you make the villain? Just because you want to make money. That means the whole world can keep suffering. The Russia-Ukraine war has been going on for 3 years. Donald Trump used to say he'd end it with just one phone call. Russia keeps pushing, taking more Ukrainian territory. But a while ago, Ukraine launched a surprise attack in the Kharkiv region. Many people compared it to the Battle of the Bulge from World War II. For some time, they actually managed to capture ground. But then, after the Russians realigned themselves, they launched a counterattack that killed a lot of Ukrainian soldiers. Now, Ukraine and the West have pulled a similar stunt again. Ukraine attacked Russia, starting with their railroad bridge. This is basically a terrorist attack, because why would any state actor target civilian infrastructure? Then came Operation Spiderweb, where they used drones to attack Russia's strategic bomber fleet. These are the exact aircraft that carry nuclear weapons. They carried bombs and even launched an attack deep inside Russia. There are a lot of conflicting reports about how much damage was done. At first, they said 5 air bases were targeted, but later it turned out to be only 2. Some even claim that 40 aircraft were targeted. But in reality, it's between 3 and 5. The really serious thing here is that they attacked Russia's nuclear triad. If you want to launch nuclear bombs, there are 3 ways to do it. First, there are land-based missiles. Second are aircraft. And third are nuclear submarines. And here, these particular aircraft, the bombers, were targeted. This is a very serious matter. Look, Ukraine has already lost the war. At first, even Western media was saying that Ukraine was winning. That was never the case. If you listen to Professor Jeffrey Sachs, he explained in this specific podcast about a 48-year-old Ukrainian man. He told how they are trying to force him to go fight in the war. They want to send him, dying. And this isn't the only story. Just look at this particular video. People are being dragged and beaten, struggling so much. They don't want to go because they know nothing will come out of this war. They're forcibly taken and sent to fight in the war. And the guy they're talking about here is 48 years old. So, what about all the men between 20 and 40? Are they not around? It seems like whoever they can find, they just grab and send to fight. So what is Ukraine doing about this? No negotiations. They're doing all this just to end the war. These people are pulling stunts like this. Man, in Ukraine, people are running out. Actually, people just want to get out of there. They don't want to fight. They know this is a lost cause because they realize they're not even fighting for Ukraine anymore. Literally, like we told you, people are being kidnapped and taken away. Before this, Ukraine pulled another stunt. They tried to assassinate Putin. Let me give you a bit of background too. I'll share the details later. We've made videos on this. You should definitely check them out. Ukraine is just a pawn. This is actually a proxy war between the US, led NATO, and Russia. The real conflict has been going on since 2014. That's when the US backed a coup to oust a democratically elected leader. After that, Zelensky came to power, and when Russia actually started attacking, there was even a peace deal between the two sides. It happened in Turkey, but the US and the UK sabotaged it, and Boris Johnson personally got involved back then. The UK Prime Minister told Zelensky that we're standing with you. Don't make any deals. Let's get back to these attacks in Ukraine. These attacks were carried out by Western intelligence. There's no doubt that the CIA and MI6, which is UK intelligence, were involved. Ukraine doesn't even have the capability or equipment for this. In fact, they don't even have the money to pull something like this off. And on top of that, Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, openly said that they know the British are involved. It means they've got proof. They're not bluffing. These Russians aren't like Americans who just say anything. And all these Brits, like Keir Starmer and the rest, are total idiots. They're still stuck in some historic conflict, like they can't get over their old fight with Russia. That's how it seems. Now, tell me, what's the point of this war? You've seen for yourself that you can't beat Russia. You don't want to fight yourself because your own people will die. So what's the use? You'll get arrested in your own country. You won't be able to save yourself as prime minister. They're playing these kinds of tactics. And brother, if you actually partner up with Russia, you can take advantage of certain things. That's exactly what Germany did. All their factories made good profits because they had cheap Russian gas. And now look at Germany. It's like a total depression there. It seems that way because you know where their energy needs came from: natural gas. Now, that gas is coming from the United States of America. And not just that, listen to this too. A lot of the petrol that Russia used to supply directly to Europe now can't be taken straight from Russia, so it goes through India. India doesn't even have its own oil. The oil comes from Russia, gets processed in India, and then goes to Europe. Europe buys it at a higher price, probably under the table, and maybe they buy whatever else from there, too. We're not aware of the oil and gas from Russia, but that's a fact. What's even worse is that the Western media, like BBC and others, who are warmongers, bloody warmongers, are celebrating this, saying, yeah, we've done so much, done this and that. So what exactly are you trying to ensure or prove by doing all this? You know very well what the consequences will be. Whatever little is left in Ukraine will be wiped out too. Have you ever asked the Ukrainians what they actually want? Neither Ukraine nor the West have done anything smart here, and absolutely no one should be celebrating this. It's really dangerous. First of all, you went and attacked their nuclear test site. Don't even think for a second that was a good move. I want to remind you of what was said after Pearl Harbor. There was a Japanese admiral named Isoroku Yamamoto. He was the one who planned the Pearl Harbor attack and reportedly wrote in his diary, "I fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with a terrible resolve." Now, we're not comparing Russia to anyone here, but in this context, Japan had just attacked the United States of America. So if you look at it like that, it's like saying Russia definitely isn't using all its resources in Ukraine. Russia had a specific reason to destroy that place, so it invaded Ukraine. But now, with these kinds of actions, you've shown them that they'll have to get even more aggressive with you. Until now, Russia wasn't using its full power, but what happens now? They will, and in fact, they already are. This is so dangerous for world peace that I can't even explain. Let me give you an example. All the bombers capable of carrying nuclear weapons, according to a treaty, the United States and Russia always keep them in a way that they stayed visible because both sides have satellites through which they can do surveillance. So they keep them out in the open so we can see. That's exactly why these bombers were exposed. They weren't hidden anywhere. Now, what will Russia do? Will they accept this treaty because it's been terribly misused? Now, it's important to talk about Russia's nuclear doctrine. In their new policy, they said Russia could launch nuclear weapons in response to an attack on its territory by a non-nuclear armed state that is equipped with nuclear weapons. Armed one? What does this mean? The recent specific attacks Ukraine carried out against Russia. Ukraine doesn't have nuclear weapons, right? But who's backing them? The United States of America, the United Kingdom, Germany, all these Western allies who do have nuclear weapons. So they've done something that makes Russia say, okay, now I can use nuclear weapons too. They have no respect for anything. Imagine if someone attacked them. There was one in 91, and after that, how many countries have they destroyed? But here's another question. Did Trump know or not? He's saying he didn't know? Did he or didn't he? Both scenarios are pretty bad. First of all, if he's saying he didn't know, I think that's just not true. No chance, especially after what we saw with Iran and the way those attacks went down. 100% Trump knew. And even then, he's talking to Russia like, yeah, we want to end the war, but on the other hand, look at what's happening. And if he really didn't know, then honestly, that's just plain stupid. Your country is planning some seriously terrible attacks. Trying to assassinate a head of state like Putin, targeting their nuclear triad, and you have no idea what's going on. I mean, how is your country even being run? You're not running it. Someone else is. What kind of foolishness is this? Ukraine is gambling with the whole world now. The real question is, how will Russia respond? In fact, they're already responding. Russia has launched one of the world's largest airstrikes. So many air. Russia wasn't launching strikes before, but what are they going to do now? They know their military is almost wiped out, on the brink of collapse. Could end any minute. So what's Russia doing? Now, they're targeting civilian infrastructure. They're going to grab more territory, maybe even Odessa. And that port on the Black Sea, they'll hit that too. And honestly, I don't think there's anything the UK or the US can do about it. Have they ever really done anything like that? Russia's just going to keep doing its thing. Things are happening quietly. Just look at how many people have died in Gaza and how many in Ukraine. Though it's not really right to compare the two, because what's happening in Gaza is basically a genocide. Trump says he wants peace. So then, bro, why is the fighting still going on? Do they even know what's really going on? They think it's just pawns over there? People die, so what? It doesn't affect us. Americans aren't the ones dying, right? You can find loads of statements from American politicians saying Americans aren't dying. And look, we talk about Russia too. They're fighting against it. That's just how these people are. So what happened to the negotiations? You might say, hey, Zelensky was negotiating and should keep negotiating. But all these guys have their own agendas. Anyway, like we told you before, this guy only came after the war started. He's just a puppet. He's only focused on making money. The guy's already super rich. And I would definitely recommend you watch this particular interview. It's from Daniel Davis's YouTube channel. We've told you about him before. He interviews a Ukrainian journalist. They're still there. And oh man, they told me so much. They said that in Ukraine, you'll see tons of people. Less in number, but super rich folks driving Ferraris on the streets. Can you imagine? And there's so much corruption there. So much corruption. All the money that comes in from the United States to Ukraine, guess what? It ends up back with the defense contractors in the US. And whatever's left, these guys just split among themselves. Honestly, I really hate this guy Zelensky and those other big shots. The ones who planned the attack put us and all our families in danger. They pulled off this stunt. Now, why doesn't the USA like Russia? Because Russia is a big country. They have so many resources. They think, why should they have all the resources? We want some too. They never had problems with China before, but now they do, because China has become a big country too. In fact, the US and China have been close trading partners for a long time. That's one thing we wanted to tell you. And then there's more. There's one more really important thing. How can you stop a war? It's simple. You just cut off the flow of weapons. Cut off the intelligence too. Do that and the war's over. Ukraine won't have any other choice but to negotiate. Trump could have made that clear, but he won't. And now, it's even more obvious that all these attacks, they attacked Iran through Israel and Russia through Ukraine, were all coordinated by them. There's absolutely no doubt about it because of how these attacks happened. They were carried out Both had so many similarities. The drones were taken and smuggled inside the country. In fact, it's being said that MA6, the British intelligence, had a big role in this too. It's 100% a total conspiracy. No doubt about it. What they did with Iran, they did the same with Russia. They kept negotiating, kept saying, yeah, we're talking, we're negotiating. We even had separate discussions with Israel about Iran in these particular videos. And when it comes to Russia and the US, if you're serious about actually ending the war, then this kind of stuff, why are you attacking? But the most important thing we want to talk about and always have on this channel, and we'll keep doing, is this. Do you know why wars happen? Because war is an industry. War is a business. In the United States alone, the arms trade is worth over $1 trillion. And who benefits the most? Who makes the money? The military-industrial complex. And the figure I just gave you is only for the United States. If you add other countries, it's even more. All defense manufacturers are lobbying, but the United States of America is by far the biggest exporter of all weapons. And it's important to mention that while the USA is the top exporter, countries like India and Pakistan are among the top 10 biggest importers. Make sure to check out our 2 videos. They explain how this whole military-industrial complex actually works. It's not just the defense manufacturing companies that make money. A lot of other people are involved, too, like banks and big asset holders, management companies like BlackRock. And I'd suggest you definitely watch the video. The problem is you start a war thinking, yeah, we'll make money, but how far will that actually go? Especially nowadays, with modern warfare, the amount of damage is out of your control. All this NATO expansion business, and these guys wanting to stay superpowers, it's getting totally out of hand. Meaning even they don't have control over it. Just look at where things are heading. Russia itself wanted to join NATO. You rejected that, because if Russia had joined NATO, that would have been the end of the story. Then, who would you fight against? Who would you make the villain? To villainize someone, you need a target. First, it was the Russians, then the Muslims. You always need a villain. The United States of America also unilaterally scrapped its anti-ballistic missile treaty. Now, between Russia and the USA, there was another agreement called the New START Treaty. It's set to expire on February 5, 2026. That means all the good diplomacy done over the years is, well, that's it. We've been pushed back by decades. Year after year, it's been delayed. Our doomsday clock is still at 89 seconds to midnight. That means we've never been this close to destroying the world before. This is serious, and it's possible, considering what's happening nowadays in Israel, Iran, this particular part of the world, Russia, Ukraine. The world is a very dangerous place, more than ever, and all these greedy, selfish beasts like people need to wake up. Enough is enough, seriously.